Welcome back to Jackson Square. Today we are still looking at TEAC 6.2c, which says I can locate, compare, and order integers and rational numbers using a number line. So last time we focused on locating and comparing. This time we're going to use those same skills that we've built and we're going to order these rational numbers and put them on the number line. So let's jump right in. So this problem says order the following numbers from least to greatest. Sketch a number line to help. So you can sketch a number line to help. I'm going to do a minimal one, not a super one, to help me. But let's make sure we look at those words from least to greatest. Make sure you read the words. It's very important. Sometimes they change it from greatest to least. So reading the words is important. So on my number line, I am going to put the basics, which is 0 is in the middle, positives are to the right, negatives are to the left. Hopefully, remember, as we continue to go to the left, the numbers are going to get smaller. And as we go to the right, our numbers are getting larger. Okay, so again, that means if I'm comparing -1 and -6, -6 is farther to the left, so it's going to be smaller than -1. Again, think about, would you rather owe someone $1 or $6? I sure don't want to owe them $6. I don't want to be that much in debt to somebody, so I'd rather owe them $1. So it's getting farther away, putting you in more debt, which is a negative, a horrible thing to be in. It's a smaller number. Great. When we go to the right, we know this 5 and 7. 7 is clearly larger than 5. We go to the right, they're getting bigger. So remember those things as we're sketching. So one of the strategies that I like to use when I have to order numbers is I always, if I'm doing least to greatest, look for what's negative. So if we look in our list, I see there's only one negative, -6. So I know that's going to be my first number. Then after that, I start looking at my positives. I see 4, 4.6, 16, 3.9. Well, 16 is our biggest, so I know that's going to be my last number. But I see 4 and 4.6. Those will be together, but I see a 3.9. So my next number will be 3.9. Then it would be followed by 4, which will be followed by 4.6. And lastly, 16. So these are our numbers in order from least to greatest. -6 is the smallest, 16 is my greatest, and in between I have 3.9, 4, and 4.6. So that's how I use my simple number line to help me. You could have done a number line and put them on, place them there to help you order them as well. And you'll see that strategy at another point where you can place them and help you order. So let's go to the next one. So this one again says order from least to greatest. And you can sketch your simple number line if you need that to help you. Since I can still see it on my other one, I'm not going to sketch it over here. Again, that same strategy, look for negatives. So this time I see -4.5 and -7. So you have to think of which one is smaller. If I was going 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. -7 would be the farthest out. So -7 is my smallest. Then after -7 would be -4.5. And then after that, I start looking at my positives. So I see 1 and 7 hundredths, and I see 1 and 77 hundredths, and then I see 17. Well, we know 17 is going to be our last number, but these two are very close. So here we're going to use our strategy of comparing these numbers. So I'm going to write them here. So just like before, if we look at the ones place, they both have a 1. So we move over to the tenths place. I'm comparing which one is smaller, which one is larger. 0 is smaller, 7 is larger. So that means this is going to be my first number, and then that's going to be my second. And again, you could just look at these numbers and what's smaller, 7 hundredths or 7700s. And clearly it's 700s. So this would be my next number, followed by 1 and 7700s. And I like to just kind of cross them out to remember that I used them. And then last would be 17. So from least to greatest, my least is -7 because it's farther away from 0. And then it's -4.5, 1 and 700s, 1 and 7700s, and 17. So I feel like that was pretty easy, right? So let's jump into one that's a little bit more complicated. So on this one, we have a mixture. We have percents and decimals. So we're going to have to convert. We learned last time if we had percents, we want to make those decimals because it's just like a more friendly territory for all of us, right? So to make a percent a decimal, again, remember we move it 2 places to the left. So I'm going to make this 55 hundredths. This is already in decimal form. And then 100% is just one whole. Okay. Remember when we place these on the number line, we want to use the original form. So I'm going to put them in decimal form so I can compare them all, but then on the number line, I'm going to put the original form. So I'm going to slide this over so we can see the number line. And in this one, I'm just going to go down the row and plot them where they go. So the first one is 55%. So I know that that is going to be 5500 is less than 1. And it's going to be a little more than halfway. So I'll place it here. The next one is 6700s, which 6700 is going to be pretty close to 55% or 5500, just a little bit away, so they would still be fairly close. Then I have 1 and 2400s. We know that would be in between 1 and 2. Since it's 2400s, it would be closer to 1. And then the last one is 1. 1% or 100% is, 100% is 1. So we would put that right on the 1 here. And I would write 100% above. So this is how they would be placed on the number line. And I'm going to zoom that in just so you can see. So things that we need to know. Please know that a fraction or a decimal or part of a whole. So when we're talking about 5500s, 6700s, those are a piece, part of a whole. They're not a whole. So they are always going to fall less than 1. Anytime you have a mixed number or improper fraction, those things are going to be greater than 1. So 1 in 2400s, that would be a mixed number. It's greater than 1. It's above, in between 1 and 2. So make sure that you're thinking about that and making that location. That's what locating is. Where would I put it? Would it be in this place range or that range? And we've talked about range before with percentages. So we're using those same strategies. Again, we're building, okay? Let's look at the next one. So this one, we have a negative decimal, a whole number. We have a negative percent, and we have a, I'll say mixed number here. So the only one I'm have to convert is that percentage. 2 places to the left. So this would be negative 50 hundredths, or you could say 5%. So we want to place these on the number line. So negative, I'm going to start on my negative side. This number line, it doesn't have the 1. So we have to imagine 1 would be in the middle here, or -1 and +1. So this is 1. Remember, negatives, they would be less than 1. So if this is, I'm just going to kind of mark off where I think 1 is. Negative 75 hundredths. Remember, we broke it into 4. It's 25, 50, 75. I'm going to mark it as here. And then we have negative 50 hundredths, which would be close to 75. 75. So I'm going to mark it here. That was a percentage, negative 50%. Then we had 2, which is a whole number. So I'm just going to put that dot right on 2. Make sure when you're locating on the number line, you're putting it on the number line. It's not above, it's not below. It's that right. I'm making that connection right there, the intersection. And then we have 1 5/10 or 1 1/2. So if I estimated this is my 1, 1 1/2 would be in between 1 and 2 in the middle. So I will put my 1 5/10 here. So let's zoom that in so we get a closer look. Again, knowing where those numbers fall is very important. Which numbers are less than 1 or less than negative 1, which numbers are greater to help us get that location just right. All right, so next we have a word problem about Martha. Martha is working to place the following cards in order from least to greatest. Again, least to greatest. Always read that. Don't assume it's always going to be least to greatest, but it is this time. Explain whether or not she is correct. So here we see decimals, percents. We see some mixed numbers. So the first thing I know is I want everything to be in decimal form. So I'm going to go in and make 25%. That's going to become 25 hundredths. 15% is going to become 15 hundredths. And then it says you can include a number line in your explanation. So we can sketch a number line to help us with our ordering. And actually, I could have drew a different number line because none of these are negative. So let's look and see what we have. So I'm going to place them on the number line and then compare her cards to what we have to see if she was right. So we have 300s. 300s is going to be tiny. It's going to be very close to 0, actually. So I would place it here. Then we have 25%. 25 percent would be maybe about here. We have 1 1/2, which we know is falling in between 1 and 2. We have 1 15 hundredths, which is going to be closer to 1. And then we have 15%, which is 15 hundredths. So 15 hundredths is going to fall in between 25 hundredths and 3 hundredths. So it would be maybe about there. So zoom in a little bit closer. So looking at what we placed on the number line, where we said these numbers will be, and looking at Martha's cards, was Martha correct? So I'm going to put numbers. So if we're going down our number line, the first one was this one. So she got that right. The next one would have been 50%. So she did not have that in the right place, right? Then 2500. So this would be our third card. Then 1 15 hundredths. This would be our fourth card. And 1 1/2 would be our fifth card. So Martha got one of them correct. One, right? 1, 2. No, she got this one right. That was the right place. No, yeah, she got 1 correct. I was like, I had to look at well, this is 1 and that's 2 and then 3. Yeah, she got 1 right. So, okay, 1 out of 5 is what percent is that? 20%. Not the best, Martha, but it's okay. We're learning. So today our focus was on using our skills to locate and compare to order rational numbers on the number line. I hope that you enjoyed this, and let's practice.